Welcome to No Facts Needed, and today we're going to be talking about the Indianapolis Colts. Let's jump right into it. We have the Colts ranked as the 21st team in the NFL out of 32, obviously. My record prediction is 10-6. I know it's a little bit of a hot take, but we'll talk about it. Eli, what is yours?
7-9.
Oof, so we're on like way two different.
What was their record last year?
Their record was 7-9. So actually, Vegas has them at a solid 9 wins, so right in between me and you,
Really?
pretty much.
Interesting.
Yeah. Let's talk about their schedule and how they're going to get there. So their own division is pretty easy. I mean, they have the Jags, Texans. They also have the Titans. They also play the NFC North, which is a tough division with the Packers, Vikings, and even the Bears and the Lions are going to be pretty rough. And then the AFC North is super rough with the Ravens, Steelers, and Browns. And then they get some like kind of buys with the Raiders and the Jets. So, I mean,
It's a tough schedule, though.
winnable games and some losable games.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about their offseason. Let's talk about their drafts, starting with Michael Pittman, Jonathan Taylor, Julian Blackmon, and Jacob Eason. Just some highlights right there.
Mm-hmm.
Their gains, they got Buckner for a first-round pick. They also got old Phil Rivers, going to throw up a couple passes to Keenan Allen, even though Keenan Allen's on the wrong team.
Mm-hmm.
Xavier Rhodes broke down. TJ Carey, Trey Burton, and then they lost, as of now, Vinatieri is still a free agent. They also lost Bobby Calhoun, Jabal Sheard, Chester Rogers, Clayton Gathers, Funchess and Inman, Jonathan Williams, Eric Ebron, Pierre Desir, and Brian Hoyer. So what are your thoughts on this?
I think that in terms of their offseason, I think it was pretty good.
Yeah.
I think that the main theme that I kind of saw is that they're getting the pieces that they want, which is good.
Yeah.
But I feel like they're paying a really high price for them. They're also paying Phillip Rivers like $25 million, and their quarterback room combined is like over $40 million this year.
With Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah. And then they draft a running back, which is not necessarily a position of need in the second round. Again, kind of a steep price to pay if you ask me for something that could have went in a multitude of directions. But I'm not saying that I dislike any of those players because I think they're all really good and they're going to contribute. Well, not Phil, but I think they're all going to contribute in a positive way. But I feel like they're overcorrecting a little bit.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much they're actually going to be improving versus how much people think they're going to be improving this year.
So my thoughts on it was I was actually a really big fan of the draft. You said, obviously, Michael Pittman, I think he's going to be able to start within this wide receiver core. You said Jonathan Taylor was a second-round pick. They didn't really need him, which I agree, but I love that pick. I think he's going to be a starter. We can talk about him later. And then with Buckner, he was definitely kind of a reach with the first-rounder, but I looked back at the other pass rushers, I guess you could say, who were taken at their draft pick and below, and it was Kinlaw and Chason. And I don't think they're going to be able to produce like Buckner's going to produce over the next 2 or 3 years,
Yeah.
So I say if they're trying to win now, which it kind of seems like they are, I thought this was a good free agency. The rest of their free agency was all right, kind of like you said. So let's talk about positions. My quarterback grade for the Colts was question mark, F to a B+, because I have no idea what Phil Rivers we're going to get. Are we going to get the Phil Rivers that, like I said before, is going to throw to Keenan Allen, who's still in the Chargers? Or are we going to get Phil Rivers, who might be good with the clean pocket,
Yeah.
I will say, he hasn't missed a game since 2006, so he should play every game. He is 38.
He has 46 children.
That is true. Last year, it's 66% completion, 4,600 yards, 23 touchdowns, and 20 interceptions.
Old 2020.
For him, it's all right. I mean, it was all right for a guy getting manhandled in the backfield.
Okay. I've always thought Phil Rivers is kind of overrated.
Yeah.
Just because I think he's one of those quarterbacks where he makes a lot of plays that could get you in the game, but he's also going to make like as many or more plays that are going to lose you the game.
Yeah.
So, as much as I like Phillip Rivers as like a locker room character and a leader for this team, I think that the days of him being like a top 10 quarterback are just not there. It's not that anymore.
Yeah.
And the O-line is a major plus because like I don't know what he's never had this much time in the pocket before. Like he's going to be it's probably going to feel like night and day.
Mm-hmm.
But also his weapons are not as good as they were with LA. I think that's a pretty good segue into like the running back and receivers. So like Marlon Mack, obviously they don't believe in him for whatever reason. I feel like he's been pretty much anything he's done anything they can ask for pretty much.
Yeah.
And maybe they just don't care about running backs, which is, valuable strategy. So they bring in Jonathan Taylor, who is straight line speed, power, big guy, but let's be honest, he's a little bit overrated. He wasn't really much more than that at Wisconsin, and I know he racked up the yards for sure, but that's just, every Wisconsin running back is always up there in yards. They pound the ball, and he had a lot of fumbles. He had 18 fumbles in 3 years at Wisconsin. Anything else to add for the running backs?
I was gonna actually say I disagree with you. With Marlon Mack, I just think he's an average back. You kind of said that a little bit. He can do it all, but doesn't do anything really great. He did have almost 1,100 yards in 14 games and averaged 4.4 yards per carry, which is good. Doesn't really catch. But a Jonathan Taylor, I think he's going to get Rookie of the Year votes. I don't think he's going to necessarily win it, but I think he's going to get votes. He's going to take over the starting job. The last 2 years at Wisconsin, he had over 2,000 yards and then 6.3 and 7.1 yards per carry. First 2 years, he didn't really catch that much. The last year, he did catch more. And besides fumbling, I think he's a really good running back. Like you said, all Wisconsin running backs do good. I agree with that. But I think Wisconsin had a good O-line. Colts have a good O-line. I think he's going to produce just the same. He's not going to get 2,000 yards.
He's probably in the best situation for a rookie running back in the league.
Yeah, I think he's going to do really good. My grade for this running back group was a B. I think we can move on to wide receivers now.
Yeah. What? See, I don't know. It's hard because T.Y. is good.
Yeah.
But I feel like he's kind of, he's regressing. Just because he's old.
Yeah, he's 30 going on 50 right now.
He's getting up there in age. As a player, he's solid. He's a good deep threat. He gets open, and then after the catch, he's good. But I don't know. If he's kind of your number one, and it's not really close because outside of him, they don't have anybody else who has ever done anything in the league. They have Paris Campbell, who was really exciting for a lot of people last year because of how fast he is and the plays he made at Ohio State, but he didn't even get on the field for Indy last year.
Yeah.
And then Michael Pittman, who I he's really good at contested catches and he's a big strong guy, so once he gets the ball, he's throwing people off of him and stuff like that. So I like their receivers, but I think they're just a step below what they have been in the years past, and it's definitely a downgrade for Phil going from the Chargers to the Colts.
Yeah, so I graded them as a C+. So we can talk about tight end. I put them as a B-. They don't have any talent there, but they do have depth. They have Jack Doyle, who's probably the whitest guy in the NFL right now. All I put was that he's a tight end that plays football. He's just like that other 500 tight ends in the league that does some blocking, makes a play every once in a while that people are like, oh, wow, he's on the team. And then Trey Burton is a journeyman tight end, which don't even exist. Usually they just get cut.
He's just another Eric Ebron.
Let's move on O-line. Whew. This is a pretty good O-line right here. I'll let you talk about them.
This is one of the top 5 O-lines in the league. Maybe better. Maybe top 3. I don't know if I would call them the best, personally. But as a run, they run the ball very, 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 very well.
Yeah.
This is their best position group by far. Quinn Nelson, we don't really need to talk about it. He's a pancake master. He can work at IHOP, all that good stuff. Ryan Kelly and Braden Smith, also really young guys that are really, really good.
Yeah.
Probably going to be around this league for 10 or 15 years if they stay healthy and everything. And then they have Glowinski, who is a solid veteran presence on their line, kind of that he's probably their 5th best lineman actually, but he's actually I'd say he's better than Costanzo. Take that back. But he's the veteran presence on that line. He's the old guy in town, along with Costanzo, who, like I said, he's kind of regressing, just because he's getting older.
Yeah.
But this unit, they've got the continuity that you want, and they've been productive for 2 years now. So I don't think there's any doubt that they're going to be a dominant unit again this year.
All right, let's talk about D lineman Justin Houston. I don't even who is this dude? You know, he had 22 sacks one year, then fell off. Not really, but he's definitely better than people think. He actually had 11 sacks last year, and then 9 sacks in the 2 seasons before that. He's 31, so he's a little old, but he still has time to, like, you know.
They have Danico Autry, who is actually a really good pass rusher as a defensive tackle.
Yeah.
Kind of a weird situation where, like, he wasn't good with the Raiders, I think is who he played for prior to the Colts. But now he's looking really good, really solid for them.
Yeah.
DeForest Buckner, like we said, I personally think he's overpaid just because, like, you're paying $21 million for a guy who's going to play on the interior, and as far as I'm concerned, I don't know, like, even the best interior pass rushers are not, like, I don't know if they're worth $20 million.
What about Aaron Donald?
Well, Aaron Donald doesn't count because he's not human.
I will say he did have 12 sacks last year, so that was really good.
Yeah.
But he did play on the 49ers where they have, like, all first rounders and Nick Bosa coming off the edge. So, yeah, 12 sacks is great, but I think it's going to go down to, like, that 8 to 10 range probably.
Yeah. But he is going to be, like, everything they need, like, in terms of, like, stopping the run, you know, pushing the pocket. I just think he's going to be a little bit of a disappointment if you're expecting him to, like, be putting up edge rusher numbers kind of like he did last year. But that's not to say that he's bad. He's definitely, I mean, he might be the best player on this defense. And then who's going to replace Jabal Sheard is a little bit of a question mark. Is it going to be Lewis or Stewart?
So I gave them a B+, just because they actually have people that can get to the quarterback. I mean, there's value in that because some teams just don't have anybody.
Yeah.
Let's move on to linebacker. They have Darius Leonard, who's really keeping them above water right now because the other two guys are all right, you know. Darius Leonard, he's really good. One of the best in the league for sure. He can tackle anything, and he actually plays pass coverage. Last year, he had 5 interceptions, 7 pass deflections, 2 forced fumbles.
Way better than his rookie year.
5 sacks, 71 solo tackles in 13 games. He's an absolute beast. Mm-hmm. He's definitely a top-tier linebacker. He's not the number 1 best linebacker yet, but he's definitely up there.
Outside of him, though, I mean, they've got Walker, who is a solid second. Probably would like him better as a 3rd or 4th linebacker. Yeah. And then Okereke, who actually looked pretty good in flashes last year.
Yeah.
But you want to see him be more consistent. So their linebacker room as a whole is just okay. And like you said, Leonard carries it a lot.
Yeah. But I gave them a B+ on a grade scale. Let's talk about their defensive backs, their secondary.
I think the secondary is kind of their weak point.
Yeah.
They struggled a little bit in 2019. They gave it the 10th most passing yards, which isn't a ton. So it's not like, I mean, they're not the Miami Dolphins or anything from last year. So, but obviously sometimes they're going to get exposed when they go up against a really good passing offense. Xavier Woods was straight up one of the worst players in the NFL last year.
I don't think he'll be a starter, but I think he'll be a valuable veteran that can kind of help these guys know what they're doing, you know? Okay. That's where his value comes from, is helping other people.
So we'll see how that goes. If he's that bad again this year, he's probably gone from the league, to be honest. So there's that. If he does start, that's good for them if he can kind of be his old self. Play some press man and all that.
Yeah.
But they also do have Quincy Wilson and Rock Ya-Sin, like you said. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Not really 100% sure. But both those guys were pretty solid for them last year. Quincy Wilson especially looked pretty good. Had a little bit of a slow start to his career, but coming around for sure. And then they got Kenny Moore, who is one of the best slot corners in the league. And then their safeties, they lose Clayton Gathers. Filling in for him is probably going to be Kyrie Willis from Michigan State. Haven't really seen a lot from him yet in the pros, but, you know, might be something there. And then they're not going to bring back Malik Hooker anytime soon, apparently. Obviously, for whatever reason, they don't believe in him. I don't know if it's just because they don't want to pay him or what, but I'm going to be interested to see if Julian Blackmon is just going to straight up just take his spot, because I like him a lot from Utah.
Let's move on to their ability to win games. Where do you think, long-term, what do you think they are? A playoff team?
No.
Me personally, I think they are a playoff team. Just because
I think they could get there for sure.
Yeah, I think their ceiling is playoff. Just because Their division is kind of questionable. Like, we don't know what's going to happen with the Titans, if the Texans can kind of turn around with Hopkins, and then the Jags, Let's talk about their pros. So Phil could come in and be better than Brissett. I don't know. We've talked about him. We can get off him. O-line can definitely control the front, and the defense can make some turnovers. They can get in your face, get some interceptions, force some fumbles. Let's be honest. Phil could be really, really bad. It could be sad to see. I mean, you saw him with the Chargers last year, and there's videos on YouTube of just Phil Rivers ruining a game because he's like,
Keenan.
Yeah, pretty much. And then their defense is really young, and even though they have a lot of potential, talent, whatever people like to say, they could still be bad. Like, it could be 2 or 3 years until they get really good. Their only solid two pieces are Buckner and Leonard that you can really count on. Everybody else, you're like, well, let's hope they're good.
So one quick thing about their defense, I think they are going to need a real edge rush.
Yeah.
Because like we said, Justin Houston is there, DeForest Buckner.
They just need a dog up front.
They need a real number one pass rusher off the edge.
I think everybody on their D-line can get to the pass rusher, but I agree. They need a dog up there that's going to be in the QB's face every single play. And, I mean, that's a big part of a defense.
Yeah.
This is No Facts Needed. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment. Let us know your Colts record prediction and if you think they can make the playoffs or if they're going to be trash, just a big old trash can.